to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Texas Government Code, and any members of the public who wish to speak shall each have 3 minutes.
Good morning, y'all. Judge Grant, commissioners, good to see y'all again. I'm not sure if you remember, but I actually presented to court mid last year, but you guys were kind of going through a treasurer change, so we decided to hold off. But thank you so much to Karen and Mandy for having me back. So I work with Hilltop Securities. We're a full-service municipal investment bank. We've been in business for a little under 75 years now, helping communities across not just Texas, but all the United States. I specifically work in the local government investment pool department. For those of y'all not familiar with pools, the best way to describe them is like a high-yield savings account that's only counties, cities, and school districts are allowed to utilize them. Now, this is not particular to Texas. Every single state in the United States, all 50, have local government investment pools within them. They were directly and specifically created to help communities grow. 3 things of importance to note with all pools. First and foremost is preservation of capital. These are public funds. Not a penny of principal can ever be lost. Not a penny of principal has been lost. The Public Funds Investment Act of Texas, which actually notes the parameters that all municipalities have to follow in terms of their investments, not only approves the pools, but it recommends having a number of them for the diversification piece. Techstar only holds U.S. Treasuries, agencies, and repurchase agreements. So every security that is held in the fund is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Second, it is 100% liquid. So as long as we get your order to put money in, take money out before 4 o'clock Central, you'll have those funds within the same day. Again, I like to call it a high yield savings account on steroids because it has all the perks of it, but none the cons. Like there's no minimum balances, there's no funding requirements. For example, Cass County opened an account and they just held it at a 0 balance for 4 or 5 months because their goal was to put property tax monies in there. As soon as those property tax monies came in, they started using the account. There's no wire fees, there's no ACH fees. There's not a number of times that you can transfer back and forth from the pool to your checking account. Again, it's specifically created for you guys. And third is the fact that the yield typically tends to be significantly higher than what most banks can pay. So as of close of business yesterday, Techstar is currently paying 4.33%. Fairly good. And another thing I'll note, so the Fed funds rate is also known as the risk-free rate. That essentially follows the 90-day T-bill. Techstar attempts to do the exact same thing. So whatever the 90-day T-bill is, which is the safest thing anyone can invest in, a municipality or a person, Techstar usually is a basis point or 2 below or above that same rate. Lastly, I want to kind of mention all the, my territory specifically is East Texas. I would say about 75% or so of all counties in my territory specifically utilize one or two of our pools. I would say about 90% of counties utilize a pool in general, whether it be ours or one of our competitors. The good thing is there's no cons really to this. It can be used whenever you guys need. It cannot be used. You guys can compare rates that you're getting at the bank compared to Techstar, and then use bank or use Techstar or use both. Again, created for you guys. Long-winded, I know, but if you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. I do think this could be a benefit for the county.
Who's your biggest competitor?
Textpool.
One other question on the rates, when you came last year against the textbook, maybe not the rate, but the time?
I don't know, I don't remember.
Your rates change how
They change on a daily basis, but they're never really going to change more than 1 or 2 basis points on a daily basis. Another cool thing about that is your local bank, for example, or all banks actually, they decide what rate they want to pay you. There doesn't really have to be any transparency. You can go on the Techstar website and you'll see the rate every single day for the past 30 years. So just like any money market, the rate will change slightly, very slightly on a daily basis, but it's going to follow that 90-day T-bill, whether it goes up or it goes down. And a year ago, to your point, the rate was at like 5.5%, right? There's been a number of rate cuts since then, and when rate cuts happen, the fixed income goes down, and so do the pools, and so do CDs, everything essentially.
Do you already know what the Fed's going to announce today?
I don't even know if the Fed knows what they're going to announce today. I'm definitely curious to hear. Our prerogative is that we're going to maintain fairly stable until about May or June. Then they may look at cutting a 1/4 point again, but again, no one really knows. I'm anticipating the conversation for sure.
And none of the funds are held in something that's similar to a CD so that you can guarantee that rate for a certain length of time?
So great question. So again, you don't tie up your money. It's 100% liquid. If we talk about FDIC coverage, the way that the bank gives you that $250,000 coverage is they take your cash and they back it with U.S. Treasuries. That's not needed for Techstar because you can't back Treasuries with Treasuries. The way that you get insurance is the bank essentially takes your money and then makes money off of it and backs it again with the collateralizes it with those treasuries. You're just gonna, instead of doing that, loaning the money to the bank, you're gonna hold a fund of those treasuries directly that's managed by JP Morgan.
In 4.3, when we were talking about the fire trucks the other day, the money that we get, that was the same rate, but it was on a different deal. It wasn't for an investment pool, but it's.
There's also something, at a later date we can talk about, but I did talk to him also about the fire trucks and all, and so, but we can talk later about that.
Okay.
But the one thing that I want us to think about is the customer service with where we are and where we could go, the customer service.
I think he's explained that to us this morning.
Yeah, and another thing that reminds me of, so you asked who our biggest competitor is, and that's Textpool. The biggest difference is A, the interface is easier to use from what I've heard from our clients. B, it's that white glove service. We don't have a call center or 1-800 number. Whoever would be doing the day-to-day money movement, or if you guys have any questions, obviously I'm always going to be a point of contact. Our operations team is just Ruby and Daisy, so you guys will know exactly who you're talking to every time. They'll know you guys and how y'all like to operate. And then lastly, Textpool only does pools. The pools are even though between Techstar and Logic, in Texas alone, we manage $27 billion in public funds. But that's just a small sliver of what we do. As Karen was saying, There's a bunch of other opportunities that open up to you guys when you start, with something as simple and as conservative as the pools. We can do broker-dealer services, or we can either, if you guys are looking for a project or to purchase something, instead of borrowing money from a bank, we can actually look into helping y'all issue debt, and then, kind of funding your projects that way. Again, long-winded, but there's a multitude of different solutions out there for y'all once we start a relationship.
Well, thank you for coming this morning, if no one has any other questions.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys again.
Anyone else? If not, we'll go to item number 1, which is to approve the minutes. Now, are we having those today, or are we waiting?
Next time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Sure.
we'll just put those on next.
Go down to
I
number,
forgot, see, I told you. to remember. Remind me. We surely can. Let's go to item number 12, which is to consider the replat of lots 1, 4, and 5 into 1.77 acres. All right, and I believe you've reviewed it.
yes ma'am, we've reviewed it,
Everything is,
and everything's good, the tax certificate is here,
Mhm.
and the gentleman here is to represent them, and so they're gonna, all he has to do is take that over to the, over here and pay the
Mhm.
fees and let it go. So with that being said, I will make a motion that we approve the replat of lots 1 and 5 into a 1.77 acre.
I think that's 4 and 5. I misspoke at first, sorry, it's kind of light. Into a 1.77 acre tract.
Okay.
And is there a number on that tract? I don't remember, sometimes it's an R.
Yeah, they named it, it's something R.
Something R.
Yeah, if I recall.
And is this in the wilderness?
Yes, ma'am.
Wilderness. Let's put that, okay, so we're gonna replat lots 4 and 5 into a 1.77 acre tract. Should be on that Mylar,
The what now?
Mhm.
sorry. If you'll take it out, we'll, just so we can get it on the minutes in case we have to search for
Which
it.
would come on.
Seems like they named it 4R or 5R, I can't remember the replat.
Never get back in.
No, there's no, I don't see a number on there. Roll it out and see if it's written right on. Oh, I saw it, right here. We have number 5R,
5R.
5R.
I'll make that motion.
5R of the wilderness. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else we want to take up and get?
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to number 2, which is budget transfers and amendments. Any discussion?
On the Jago that we're paying travel, are they, when we're paying all that up front, or are they signing an employee contract guaranteeing that they're gonna
Is that
work
for
for
a, I
us for so
don't
long?
know, is that for a new employee or is that just a training for,
it's a training, because this person's been here for a while.
make a note though, we do need to get that agreement and get it into the, employee handbook, that's the one, yeah, okay?
Make a motion, we approve budget transfers.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed, none, motion carries. All right, item number 3 is to approve and pay the bills. Any discussion on that?
I make a motion to approve those bills.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed, none, motion carries. Item number 4 is to approve the payroll.
Make a motion to approve payroll.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed, none, motion carries. Item number 5 is reports.
Treasurer's report, here's a copy for each of y'all. I got what goodies.
No.
I understand, but I just, I don't, I'm gonna read it, make sure it's good, you know?
Proofread it for us, there you go, thank you. Might need it. All right. We have the auditor's monthly report for February. And then we have the treasurer's report, which is based on that auditor's report for the month of February also. And this is posted on the website, so if people have questions and want to look at that as to how the finances of the county are, well, that is available. Will y'all sign this one?
I gotta go on that way.
Oh, you do it?
Yes, ma'am.
Just checking it.
There you go. I have a report from the county clerk for February. February report for senior services. During February, there was a decrease in the number of meetings. Decrease was, we had a few days less in the month. There was a request, let me send you over this. For reports from the constables and the JPs. We have a report for February from Constable Precinct 3, Richard McGowan. We have a report from Precinct 2, Constable, for February. I think you'll all have copies of these. For the JPs, we have a report from JP 1, JP 3, and JP 4. We do not have one from Chief.
January and February on that report. Two of them.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't print those. All right, for the JPs, we have 1, 3, and 4 for February. We also have a January report for precinct 4. Now, do we have other reports? I know,
I've got, I want to give you guys an update of where we're at on the project and everything, switches and everything. Got, finally starting to get some dates that are, looks like they're gonna be, so this first one, there's gonna be like 3 pages there. The first one showing the schedule. There's still, 418 is still the schedule for all the switches to be installed. This is a date list where switches are going to be installed at these locations starting next week. And so when we come in and we're doing these switches, we're gonna, these departments will come down for a short period of time, okay? This isn't gonna be the big switch at the courthouse where everything's gonna go out at once. As we set these switches on these dates, we'll be just basically replacing the switches at these locations. So these respective departments I'll work with to ensure they're aware of it and plan accordingly for the, and the time down, except for maybe the sheriff's office, which is a little bit more cumbersome, but most of them are only gonna be down for, should only be down for about 20 minutes or so, not an extended period of time. We've slated the 4/17/18, which is Good Friday, as discussed before, and that's the date that we want to set the switch in the basement. That's gonna be the big change out. Limited interruptions to the county. It'll be a holiday, so most employees will be out. Now, as you can see within this statement they're telling me, they still hadn't given me a date for setting the firewall and the SD-WAN, right? So that's going to come up. They are still trying to target those items for the 17th, 18th as well. I just don't have confirmation on it. LGS, the next page, is LGS. They'll be here tomorrow to meet with county clerk and district court clerk. And this is primarily to kind of visit with the people and get this data that were discussed. We've got, county clerk has supplied a lot of data. District court, they haven't gotten a response out of, that's, to my knowledge, as of yesterday afternoon. So it's a data collection deal. So they'll be in tomorrow, floating around. And then this last page is my correspondence with E-Force. They're saying that this is one that we're trying to get on schedule. We're trying to figure out what was going on with the dispatch thing. They've got us on the schedule for 5/5 to go live. So we basically set the switches on the 18th. 5/5 is the go live for training, I guess, which should correlate with each other for week of the 5th. Now, LGS is probably, LGS is on schedule for the first part of the month. The deal is that we want to launch these systems at the same time so the data flows, right? I spoke with LGS briefly yesterday. I suggested that we have a conference call with E-Force and LGS and myself to firm that 5/5. Everybody's online with it, all the API. Appears everything's going well. They didn't say there was any hiccups. Everything's looking good with the LGS side of the system with API tie-in. So, bottom line is what it's telling us, because E-Force isn't going to have training until the week of the 5th. Everything goes live. Everything goes live. We already have the switches set, right? 2 weeks later, we go live based on what we can do with schedule. On that date, what I would envision, so we'll have two different things going on. We have the LGS in here training county clerk, district court, right? So they'll have a team of people in on the 5th. E-Force will have a team in working with the sheriff department. These departments are going to roll, right? So we're not going to flip the switch and everything's down and everything's back up, right? So there's going to be a training, it'll be a turn on module by module over this week period of time. At the end of that week, then everybody should be trained, everything should be turned on, switches are done, it's set. Everything is, we should be off and running, okay? So that's where we're at on that. I'm sure you guys may have some questions. If you do, feel free to ask me, or you can catch me on the side, whatever, if you have any concerns, but this is where we're at.
Is the Windstream contract deal going to?
I'm going to bring that up. It's on the docket, so I'll bring that up when we get to it.
Leonard?
Yes, ma'am, I handed all of y'all a report prior to the meeting starting. Just a quick little overview, it's 3 pages. Just a little bit more, kind of lays everything out in a flow path, I guess you could call it. We hadn't had any major incidents over the last month. We've had minor stuff. Friday on the 14th, we were under a red flag warning, which that just means that the fire weather is at its most critical. Anything can cause that fire to grow substantially. We did have 2 grass fires that day. Both were held to a very small size, so we lucked out on that. And part of that was getting 3 departments responding at one time, so we had plenty of apparatus there to get it knocked out pretty quick, and it seemed to work out pretty good for that. Back in February, at the end of February, we did an active shooter tabletop exercise with all the school districts. All that did was evaluate their current emergency action plans. It seemed to open up some different sight as far as maybe making some changes and stuff or adding to what they currently have. They all felt that it was a very useful tabletop exercise, and so they were excited about it. So we started working, or I've started working with the group in the county. It's the Freestone County Area Service, it's the Amateur Radio Emergency Services. It's a group of about 10 guys. It's ham radio operations. There is a repeater out on the KNES tower that they have. Speaking to them and just seeing kind of what they're doing and everything. Being able to utilize them into damage assessment or disasters, things like that, could be beneficial for us in the county. if something happened to the dispatch center where all communication was knocked out for whatever reason, they're able to set up mobile antennas, different things like that at a moment's notice and restore some communication. The only drawback to that is they're the ones that have to operate that, because you have to have a license to operate it. And it's a $35 fee, and you have to take a test and pass a test to get that license for it.
Have to learn Morse code.
Yes. There's a different set of, yeah. You want to do it again?
That's a long time ago.
But they've been very useful, and they meet the third Saturday of every month and do a training. This past Saturday, they built tape measuring antennas, and it's a pretty neat little antenna. You just hook it to your radio and point it towards a repeater, and it works as if it was just an antenna. So just take household things and make antennas out of it and be able to still communicate. So that's the neat concept behind it, and how they can help in a disaster. The recovery mitigation efforts, so we're still working on the FEMA grant. I guess we'd call it a reimbursement grant. We're still working on it, trying to get everything completed. I've got precinct 1 stuff. It's pretty much done. It's just I got to upload it, but I'm having an issue with my computer. I'm getting files to open now, so I'm trying to get all that backed up on my personal computer so I can get it done. So all that's going how it should. And then our hazard mitigation plan is set to expire on July 12th of 26. So it's plenty of time prior to it expiring. TDM reached out to me. They want us to go ahead and start working on it because it takes 12 to 18 months to get everything done on it and approved. There's 2 grants that were available to apply for, but if we apply for them, it's right about 12 months before we get approval or a funding notice that we were selected to be funded for. That puts that project being past that deadline of getting completed, and so the city of Fairfield just reached out to use some hazard mitigation grant money to start some projects, and the city of Wortham has one that they've already been obligated funding. So if we go that route, by going through those grants, it could de-obligate that funding for them because we'd go past that expiration date of the plan. So I wouldn't say better suggestion, but what they suggested was we work on it ourselves and figure out what that would cost us to put that plan together, to prevent de-obligating money from.
When you say put together, you mean to update?
To update it, but they're associating cost with updating it, and I don't know what that cost is. So
When will we have the new person in our county, would you think?
the application period closed on Friday. They received 10 applications. That Martin was starting to look over them on Friday, on Monday, and then weed out not who we didn't want, but who doesn't meet the qualifications. They push them out and disqualify them, and then go through the rest of them, see who's there, see who's going to be the better pick or quality candidates, and then at that point they'll start doing their interviews and set them up with that, and talk to us to see if what we think about them as well.
Where do they post those, things, somebody want to apply, would they post it in the paper or something?
They do not post it in the paper. It's posted on their website, on the Texas Division of Emergency Management website.
And that person will have to live in this county, is that correct?
They will have to live in this county. They have 90 days to show residency in the county after they're hired. That's all that I have on my report.
Thank you. Anyone else have a report? All right, if not, you have a motion to accept the reports.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor, Item number 6, burn ban. All right. Now, you were just talking about the,
We've had grass fires, we've been able to keep them relatively small. I know we've had rain, and, one of the biggest things fighting those grass fires is trucks getting stuck. I wouldn't say a burn ban is needed, but, it's something we need to probably watch. I know we've been getting rain, but the dormant dead grass that's underneath that green grass is what's burning.
No action.
well, we were looking at, what they put out from the Texas A&M Forest Service,
Yes.
you know? And to me, looking at this, how can it be one day that we are moderate, and then it shows for the next day that it's very high?
It all plays with the humidity levels, and
But one day's
Wind.
difference.
yes, ma'am.
Unless you get rain that day, and then maybe that,
Well, that previous day, the humidity, the way the weather and everything, that humidity level may be 50–60%. So it's gonna be very hard for something to burn, whereas the very next day, there's, just a lot of wind and that relative humidity is lower, 20, 10, 5%. And that's where your dangers start coming in, where the grass and timber and everything can burn, faster and then being wind driven, make it harder for the departments.
will you kind of watch that and then let us know if we need to do a special meeting to put the burn ban on, or what our
Yes, ma'am.
situation might be?
Yes, ma'am, I
if
can.
it continues to worsen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else on that? No action on the burn ban. Item number 7, special road use agreements.
We have Jared and Comstock here today to go over road use agreement 2456, which we had previously discussed. We talked about doing a blanket coverage bond for the county. They have received their bond, which was a $1 million bond, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I have it right
Fill
here.
that in. Have you turned that into the judge's office, or?
I was gonna take it right back there as soon as we got finished here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll do a motion on this one separate.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve, road use agreement, bond and permit number 2456 for Comstock Oil and Gas.
Second.
The bond in the amount of $1 million. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried.
Would it be possible for me to get a copy of that signed agreement, emailed?
Yes, Maria? Make him a copy and make a copy for our office so we can.
We all need to sign it.
Just one signature.
One signature.
On that page.
Back page, just one signature.
Mine had one,
Mine had one.
my back page is the commissioner's.
Okay.
The bottom of the
And this
agreement.
one, I don't have even the other page.
Did this one?
Yes. We can keep this one for ours.
I had it all the way.
And then this one, do you have this one?
Yes, he has
As well, all the other stuff on it?
Yes.
It's supposed to have, because
That's
the,
right.
a permit in,
This will be the next one.
Okay.
for everybody to sign.
You can keep that. Do you want one with just all our signatures on it?
That'll
Doesn't
work.
have the county clerk's stamp on it yet.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, and I need, Renee to sign it too.
I don't have a signature page at all on this second one.
I don't either.
Let's see.
I think the one that I've got has got,
We can get you a copy of that with all the signatures.
No, I'm just saying this.
Yes, mine did. All right, she will give you copies.
Thank you, Judge.
thanks, sir.
Thank y'all.
Now, did we do we haven't approved that other than that?
Got one more.
Yeah.
We'll call Lance on this one before the meeting started, and this is not, where they're gonna drill well, they're just gonna be running a water line down the county road for water transfer.
Okay.
I don't see
I don't
anything
think
for
we
a
need that.
special bond for anything like that.
Yeah, I don't even know if we need a.
I don't even think we
need
need
a
a
revenue for it.
If I were them, I would want one. I think we need it because it still says if they tear the road up, they're gonna, you gotta fix it. So it's better to have it not needed than not have it. Make a motion to approve road use agreement for Mitsui Energy Partners, permit number 2457, County Road 691 for water transfer.
Is there a bond?
No.
No bond, all right.
I say.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll go to item number 8, to approve bonds and education certificates. I have an education certificate from Will McSwain and from Clyde Ridge. And a certificate for James Lawrence from Criminal Justice Practitioner Recertification. And I also have one for Richard McGowan and Jake Fitch for newly elected constables. Anyone else have an education certificate? We also have do we have a motion to accept these certificates?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. We also have I didn't see this before, it's a bond. This is that Comstock bond.
Well, it's a copy of what he was gonna file.
Yeah. So we can put it with the one for road use agreement. Yes. Okay. There. And this goes with the Comstock. Okay. And we will go to number 9, fireworks sale.
Can I get a motion?
Is that with pins and feathers and all, I mean, pins and
Everything.
tail and all that?
Everything, just mine it. Yep.
Whatever's legal.
I second his motion.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 10, investment policy.
All right, that the 2025 investment policy accompanied with the Q1 investment report behind it. So there's like 6 or 7
Oh,
copies
okay.
there. If y'all want to take one and pass it down to
Behind it, let's-
up on the top.
That top corner.
This stuff here.
Yeah. So the report is just, I'm pretty sure we've already reviewed the quarter one, but so y'all can see kind of where we sit for Q2 now with the policy, the adoption.
On the interest report, we have 2 different banks that we do have funds in, and all of those are backed by securities. We're required to have securities backing those. What changes were there on the previous investment policy?
Not a lot. I added the text star as an option for a future opportunity, even though we're not there yet of swapping, but text pool is still listed because that's a current investment pool. The only other thing that would change is the appointed committee officers.
Is what?
The only other thing that would change is the appointed officers, the investment committee.
Okay. We now have 3 people that are on the committee that review these, and I guess this would be the time to talk about if we would like to put some other people on the committee. Would one of the commissioners like to be on the committee? It only meets quarterly. They review the bank depository contract every 2 years prior to it being awarded, and review the investment policy annually.
Something like Lloyd really could get over there, doing the math and numbers and figures and facts. Lloyd, I think.
Excellent, so.
I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna, I mean, I don't know if we have to do that by, if we have
Andy
to
is
appoint him, I'm
learning
just
about
saying.
the cloud, so he may want to be on it.
Well, okay, Andy will be on the IT committee.
Yeah. Young board,
His hands are pretty full, he has some
Meeting
performance,
over.
he has some performance he's over.
Yeah.
Were you volunteering for
That,
that?
that'll be fine, yes, ma'am.
All right, and then we will have the treasurer and the auditor on there. Is that fine with y'all? motion to appoint those three as the committee.
I'll make that motion. I second.
All fair aye. Motion carried, thank you. Now, are we going to approve the policy, the new investment policy now? I know you hadn't had a chance to look at it.
With the time sensitive,
No.
you want to put it on next time, so we have a chance to read it?
Yes. Do I have a motion to table?
Hey,
Is there any significant changes from our previous policy?
No,
Okay.
it's all still the same.
We have a motion and a second. We got a motion and a second, or just a motion?
Just a motion.
Second.
To table the investment policy. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11. Is to publish the legal notice on the county depository.
My legal notice is right in front of you, Clyde. There's a few copies of the notice so y'all can review it.
Expo today is still is it 4:56 now? Expo?
I just looked-
No, I just looked at it. It's actually a little bit lower than what he just quoted us on there yesterday. Well, it's 4.33, no, 4.32. He said 4.33. So, just a little bit, but
Okay.
And I
they're
was
just
looking at
always
our
right.
Our CDs, most of them are at or above, or close to that 4.3. You got some that are 4.7, 4.4.
4.7 is about to expire in April, so.
Yeah. We got them at a good time.
yeah.
Sure did, because they're,
Mhm.
some of their short stuff's old,
Mhm.
grade nine.
Yeah, it is.
And Citizens,
Yeah.
5 months to 6 months, it's like 3 9.
All right, if you, look under that tab, number 12, the request for the bank depository is a contract for a 2-year period, June 1st, 2025 to May 31st of 2027. And then you can have one additional 2-year extension, which is what we did for the prior depository contract, is we had it for 2 years and then extended it for 2 years, so we have to go out this time.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the notice? Any of the, it's just real straightforward, it's when it's gonna go out, when it gets, y'all have a copy of this? You have a copy of it?
No, I don't.
You're supposed to pass them on down.
I was, well, I didn't get that.
One more.
Here you go. Now you can read that and see if there's anything you want to change.
Make a motion, we publish the legal notice for county depository.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 13 is discuss on allowing precinct 2 to appoint that's supposed to be reserve deputy as a volunteer. Did you want to say anything else?
I was just available if y'all had any questions. I didn't really have too much else to add, unless y'all had a few questions for me.
I mean, I kind of said what I thought last time.
Yes.
I just hate to open that door, and then after learning the unfortunate situation in Oakwood,
Yeah.
that kind of reinforces what they had.
What they had, a former chief of police who's not there now, had a a couple of people that he carried their commissions over listed as reserves, but they were primarily doing that so that they could work traffic jobs.
Right.
Gain pretty good money. One of them got killed.
Oh,
while
yeah,
he was
I
on
remember that one.
traffic job. And, so it's brought, a lawsuit on the city of Oakwood for part of it. I don't know the full scope of it, but part of it is because he never actually worked as a reserve. As far as he never patrolled, he never did anything like that. So it was really just for him to get that job. And even though he didn't patrol, so didn't consider him as active duty.
Right.
Had he been active duty, then I guess the insurance benefits to the family would be the greater amount.
Yes, and I
So
explained
there's a
that
lot of discrepancy in that.
to the person that had interested. I explained that they would not be allowed to work any kind of security jobs because their primary duties would only be to my office if they're working in that capacity.
Yeah.
They would not be allowed to work any kind of text dot jobs or anything outside of that using their license.
Okay. And that was one thing that the city down there did, is they created policy that said that they wouldn't allow, a reserve was not allowed. And so the requests that they get for it now, when they tell them that they're not allowed to work those contract jobs, they said they pretty much don't call back. So that's what I just found that out yesterday.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion? If there's no motion, then we'll go to number 14. If there's no motion. Item number 14 is discuss active 911.
So active 911, from my understanding, I've spoken to Lloyd a little bit about it. Back when going out and doing the E4 stuff, from my understanding, active 911 was discussed and by y'all or whoever, and then it was mentioned that it would be something available to the fire departments in the future after getting the E4 stuff. So basically, active 911, it's essentially E-Force but on your phone. So it is a CAD system that's based out of an app. If it were to be something that we got for the county, or for the fire departments, I think it'd be great for them. Just because they can do all their times, keep track of their times, everything from that app, either on a tablet or their cell phone, responding to calls, different things. It reduces traffic, radio traffic with our dispatch, and they'll get the notifications on their phone. If a call comes out, stuff like that, it'll go to their phone directly. Like I said, it's kind of similar to E-Force. It's a lot cheaper, but it cuts out the law enforcement side of it altogether. There's no law enforcement aspect to it. It's fire EMS. You get that part of it for it. It's $13.80 a device, and talking per year. So talking to all the departments and everything, looking at, it was somewhere right about 275 devices, which would be $3,795 for an annual cost. Now, every year about this time, they look at increasing the cost, and it's no more than 3% every year. If that was something the county wanted. But like I said, it makes their jobs easier out there.
And you have to locate too, because when they get that alert on their phone, it's just no different than them getting paged out right now. But they can hit the map, and it basically takes them to that location so they can follow, whether they're using a tablet or their phone. It's giving them those directions.
Don't they get a page now, but they get a page from 911 to their phones?
There's only a handful of departments that do, and it's only an audio of what it is. And sometimes it's covered in static, sometimes you can hear it, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours later that it comes through.
Really?
Yeah, I know some people's talking to me about it, they get the pay, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't.
Right.
Now, is this system you're talking about, is it gonna be, if it comes from 911 and they can't get the page now from the 911, how are they gonna get it on this device?
Southern Oaks and Streetman currently use it. Streetman has me on theirs. So basically when a call comes out, it comes to the phone like this, and it has an audio notification to it. And so when you click on that, like this one's for an accident, you click on it, it comes to this screen right here. And then from there you get your incident locations, different things like that, some details of what it is. There's some marker locations for like if you have hydrants close by wherever that call is at. And then if you click on the active 911 directions, it'll give you directions from where you're located to that call. And it gives you the fastest route to it.
You say the notification goes out,
Yes.
so the information comes into the dispatch.
So dispatch puts, when they start a call, so there would be an integration, but what it is doing the paperwork, we would fill it out, and it's sending it to eForce to add this email address to it. And when they put the call in on the call sheet and they send it out, it automatically sends that to that email address. It deciphers that information within seconds of who it is, picks out Fairfield EMS and Fairfield Fire Department off of there, and then it notices those two key words, and it pulls all that information and sends a text, and or that notification to that app on their phones. We never know or see that process of it. It's done within seconds.
So it goes to Billy also?
It would go to Billy, so it would be available for all the fire departments and the EMS services.
So it's currently Southern Oaks already has it, and
And Streetman currently has
So
it.
they
It's
don't-
paid through Navarre County. So if they got it for Freestone, I've been talking to them, they would just merge those two into into the county account, but theirs would still be paid for by Navarre County. If that makes sense. And I've talked to Navarre County Fire Association, and all of them up there, and they said they were more than willing to still do that, so.
We currently use something similar to that. It's technically the same company, but it's the cheaper version of it, and we don't get as much information as the active 911 because it will be integrated with dispatch. So you get a lot more information off that.
Is there, I know Billy, last week, our last Commissioners Court, I think they approved the API for eForce to tie into ESO. So is there going to be an API required?
I don't know that there's going to be an API required because it's just an email address that they get to put into the system.
So I was under the impression that, certainly could have been wrong because I've been kind of out of the loop on some of these systems, but the ESO, is that not something that is understood it's going to go to all emergency management, including fire?
ESO? No. ESO is only for Fairfield EMS and CVMS.
$15, so.
That's how they write their patient reports on ESO.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion that we, move forward with the active 911 contract.
Do we have a second? Motion and a second, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Item number 15, Windstream agreement discussion.
Yes, so I'm just going to give you guys this, so you can kind of see what I'm dealing with Windstream. And you'll see that I have it highlighted on top. I emailed it to myself because it came over as a text. I was trying to have the salesman Mike Moore join us today to explain what is going on once again. You can see the page behind it, the comment, the way it reads, is just not to me, the way that a business like Windstream should be operating, but this is the agreement that they're asking for. I would basically say that since he was unable to make this meeting, that we try to get him scheduled in. I'm not gonna ask you guys to sign this agreement, because I don't, I just don't think we're there. And I need to understand what he's doing. So it was on the docket, I put it on the docket expecting him to show up, and he ghosted me.
We have a current signed agreement with them, which has been changed
This
4
is,
times since
no.
the original
no,
agreement.
this is number,
last
this
meeting.
is number 7. I wrote it on top. There's this, what this request is number 7, changed the original agreement we signed over a year ago. And when we first started down this road, before we even went to an initial contract with Windstream early on, I told them, I said, we need to get an engineer in here, let's go through and do a walkthrough. No, that's not the way it works. I said, well, how do you know what we need and what you're gonna quote if we don't do that? And he said, no, he goes, we signed the agreement, then we'll have the engineers come in. And so that's been part of this problem, been going, this ongoing contract changes, right? And this is just another one. Now, I don't think the delay on this particular agreement, what he's asking us to do, the problem I have with this is that we already have a circuit under contract with him, and what he's asking us to do is sign an agreement, basically like we're committing to another circuit, just so that he can add what is basically a digital line converter for the fax lines. When we sign up with Windstream Suites, if you would, we have available to us basically key fax. It's a digital fax to the computers. As I go around to the different departments, people, they want to use the actual fax machines and copy machines, right? They don't want to use that digital version. So what we're doing is we're just putting it's basically a pigtail. It's a digital converter, which is going to be about $10 a month per device. To use the current fax machines is the same thing we did over at your office. But he's asking us to sign for a whole circuit, so he quoted us, and I'm like, as his email said, or this cover letter said, that go ahead and sign this and get it for us, and once we get everything installed, we'll go through and do a full audit, and then we'll tell you what your billing's going to be. And I don't agree with that way of doing business. That's why I wanted him to come face you guys and explain to y'all, because I'm just a monkey in the middle of this.
They'll sign nothing until
We
they
will always review your entire agreement, so
Listen,
you can see real time.
Put it down.
That's the problem.
Kind of like mine, Tahoe.
So I would suggest that we just table this, I'll try to get him committed to another date. I don't know, if we're gonna have to have a separate, special meeting on it, or just wait till next. It shouldn't hold up our switches or anything like that.
motion to table.
I say,
All in favor?
yeah, there you go, so it's like a deal.
Anymore.
That blows my mind.
Used to be, you could do a handshake, then you go to all in, now
So
it's even
that
signing
agreement don't mean
something.
anything, they're gonna read it, they're gonna reevaluate it.
For the 7th time.
After the fact.
Yeah. All right, any comments, other comments?
I'd like to ask, tomorrow when that LGS person comes, is this male or female?
I couldn't tell you, I really don't know.
Is it what?
I know there's supposed to be 2 people,
Like a boy child.
and whether it's a he or I or whatever, I'm not sure.
We may have to have
I'll
a
do
special
something
meeting,
between you.
just shortly here.
I know what you're talking.
You know,
Yeah, you're right.
make a motion with adjourn.
Seconded, we're
Second.
adjourned.